get started.
Can we make that orange?
Great, there we go.
Okay, what do you think, Steve? Steve?
Okay, let's get started.
Can we make that orange?
Great, there we go.
Okay, what do you think, Steve? Steve?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. With that, we move on to the Leaders Dialogue titled Strategies to Secure Remote Workspaces. And it's an honor and privilege for me to first introduce and welcome the members of the Leaders Dialogue. Manoj Sarangi, Senior Vice President and Chief Information Security Officer, NSDL. Anjali Chatterjee, Chief Human Resources Officer, AirAsia, India, Kunal, Anand, Chief Operations and Customer Services Officer, Aviva, India, and Manoj Kumar, Head Employees Workflow Solution, ServiceNow. This session will be moderated by Dr. Vikas Vats, President, HR Association India, and Founder and Chief HR Consultant, Vats Consulting. Dr. Vats, over to you.
Thank you very much. Very good afternoon, all my fellow panel members, audience, and especially the organizing team. Very apposite topic, very apt time. And this team has come up, I must say, with such a discerning panel. I'm sure that coming up with a meeting session would be a cakewalk for us. So now, cyber attacks are becoming more and more frequent, complex, and targeted, collectively costing organizations billions of dollars every year. To put this in perspective, a recent report by IBM states that India reported the second highest number of cyber attacks in Asia Pacific region. 32% Indian organizations said that they experienced more cyber attacks in 2021 than a year before. I believe one of the reasons for the high number of data breaches is that because India, with its booming startups and powerhouses, is a highly attractive market for cyber criminals. Also, as Indian companies today are financially well to do, they have a brand to worry about, apart from the massive amount of personal, financial, and user behavioral data that they hold. So my first question comes from there only, and I will throw it open to all the panelists. That as a leader, what do you feel there is a need to secure a remote workplace environment in your organization, and how is your company working towards it? So I will request all my panel members to share their views on this. So can we start first?
Working remote actually started in the years back when the pandemic started. That time, actually, from 5% to 10% employees working remote, it became close to 90%. It got reversed. So 5%, 10% employees working on site, and the rest all working remote. So several changes that happened in the organizations during that time and the present period. So the organizations were not ready for such a change. None of the business continuity plans actually had this in mind that there's a large scale of pandemic where you are all over the place to be restricted and be working from home. Several things were measures were taken, starting from technological securities that can be implemented by the organization centrally. But more important than that is education. Employee awareness is one of the vital things that need to happen to secure the remote, which is, I think, the biggest thing. And a lot of databases that you spoke about just now. India stands third in the number of databases last year. So, and there's more than 200% growth in databases compared to last year, the previous year. Education is one. Second is, things that we commonly kind of think that these are something we take for granted, like passwords and authentication, backup and antivirus. So those are very vital. Then one other thing is, social engineering is on the rise. One thing that we look at is know your company well. And if you are getting ransoms, phishing mails, if you know your company well, you know what mails you can expect. And this is a link that you need to click and get back. So that can be prevented. Education and plays a big role in this particular kind of attack. And then when you are working with it, you need to also secure the device, and that is very, very important. Updates like power and other stuff also need to happen, which is basic hygiene. If you look at lot of ransomware attack that happened. Otherwise, it actually exploited the basic flaws like the systems not being crashed for a long time and the patches are already used. Next thing is, in case you are attacked, you are kind of compromised. What to do? Have a plan. It's better to have a plan to get back to normal rather than not having a plan and try to find a way out when you are attacked or when you are compromised. So these are some of the things that are high on the priority of any organization that want to have the safe and secure workforce.
Yeah, thanks, Manoj. And you being the most, I think, technical person, I'll come back to you with some hardcore technical questions later on. So now, may I request Ms. Anjali, your views on this? Because you are from an organization with a lot of employees, and the sector also was under tremendous stress. So maybe share some wonderful experiences with us.
So our industry took a very, very bad beating during the pandemic. Yeah, we are still recovering. And the good thing is, if you quote Winston Churchill, and my boss who was managing the Red Force, never let a good crisis go waste, right?
Oh.
During the good crisis, there was a crisis, but we did a lot of work around technology, a lot, right? Whether it is operational or non-operational technology, and we really upgraded our system processes, moved to a completely mobile environment, moved to chat boxes, etc. And our teams are dispersed across all airports. So yes, so even though non-pandemic time, pre-COVID, we have only 10% of the employees sitting in office. The rest of the 90 people are either pilots who fly your planes, or the cabin crew, or the ground services, or the security, or the very important aircraft engineering team who surround the airports, right? So it's very dispersed. And so from very beginning, we have a hybrid model of work, because these 90% of people do not come to office. They go to airports and then they go back home. They don't carry laptops. Mobile is the only means of communication. So all our applications are very well mobile enabled. And yes, from the very beginning, our access is, keep it simple, restricted to a VPN, and hence protected from potential harm. And the antivirus is to remotely secure devices. But most importantly, as Manoj pointed out, there's continuous communication with employees of what you can do, what you cannot do from information security perspective, right? Because to have also security, but there are enough people to hack over it and misuse it. So there is soft communication, hard communication of what you can and can't do, because this requires a lot of very tough processes. So we've always been doing them very much, because all the 90% of employees do not get a laptop, they just have mobile phones. So from the very beginning, we are working on a very hybrid model, but obviously this intensifies a lot. So I think apart from the technology, I think employees should know very regularly what is the right thing to do. So that's in short.
Yeah, something interesting comes to my mind, because we are talking about remote workplaces. So I think you have, if I'm right, another challenge, because for you, your pilots, cabin crew, when they are in a different location, so for them, I think that is also a remote workplace, and you need to take care of that as well. Am I right?
Exactly, and that's why we've always been on a hybrid model.
Yeah, because for others, it's just a house.
Yeah. So there are airports and aircraft, on the way, and all our systems are obviously made and enabled, and we have, we just updated 31 systems for the last 1 year. So, and also use of AI chatbots, so everything. Okay, whether he wants to, do a learning or put some process in place or safety process over mobile, but very highly, secured also, which does remotely again.
Right. Manoj, your views on this?
Yeah, thanks a lot, Manoj and Anjali, for sharing a very important point of view. We at ServiceNow, we are a cloud platform and a technology company. We help our customers work better and make their work better for them. That's how we look at it. And this question, I'll take it in a little different perspective, I'll put my thoughts around awareness and enablement. When we look at security is nothing but a perception, creating a perception that we are all secured and we are going to deliver in a very secured and secured way. So what is very important from our organization perspective, we wanted to create the enough and more awareness to the employees, how they have to manage their workload when they are operating from remote locations, and how they have to deliver their customer deliverables when whether they are operating at office or beyond. So we have run multiple awareness sessions through e-learnings, and also the lot of webinars we have conducted in terms of what they need to understand as employees. And second part, very important part, is you need to enable them to follow the protocols or follow the procedures. Right? You can lay out hundreds of procedures. How are they going to follow those procedures? For that to happen, you need to enable. A simple way of enabling, in our context is we built a one-stop shop, which is like a portal, wherein when an employee is entering into that portal, he will be able to see whatever is required from the security aspects, whether it is a patch upgrade or version control or the procedures he needs to understand and then follow. So that way, when we do the right sort of enablement, it is ensured that the employees also follow the right procedures. Second part is the service management. So employees have got a lot of questions about what they need to follow, how they need to follow, how they need to comply with. So when the questions are answered at the right time, with the right set of the knowledge articles or the information, that is taken care. That's how I look at it. So again, I repeat, it is a awareness and enablement which will drive the behavior. Apart from that, we being a technology company, we have implemented all sort of cybersecurity ammunitions in our organization. Yeah.
Well said, Manoj, and 2-3 important points you said. I like to continue with this on this. So you started with security is a perception, and all of us know that in technical terms we say there is nothing like security. There are only different layers of insecurity. That's what we say in IT. And they talk about making the procedures and making the employees follow them. So now when we make the procedures and we try to make them follow it, a question comes that is related to employee experience. So I like to continue with you on that as we transition now to hybrid workplace, employees would be going through a sense of excitement and also apprehension. They are excited because they'll be meeting colleagues and they'll be working together after long. And apprehension will also be there about health and safety issues.
Right.
So how do you see the experience playing out in different organizations and in different offices?
Yeah. So let me start with a very interesting, I've just taken down. There is a forward, WhatsApp forward. I'll just read it out before I answer the question. Out of office in the hybrid work era be like? Dear sender, I'm waiting. I'm working from office. Sorry, I'm going to office today and will be spending most of my time in commute, conversations, and coffee chai sessions. Will respond to your email when I'm back to work from home. Okay, this is on a lighter wing. So the lot of things changed. From how it was before and now. Today is a perfect scenario of a hybrid workplace. So wherein the majority of workforce is still operating from remote, and then a lot of people are coming to office. So when we welcome them to office, it's very important that they get the right feeling in terms of their safety and wellness. This is the first important aspect we need to keep it in mind. Safety and wellness of the employees. How safe or how secured they feel to come back to office. That's a point number one. What are the actions you are going to take for that? In our organization, we have completely automated this process of, first of all, declaring their health report. Are they vaccinated? What is their declaration about their current temperature, cough, fever, cold, if anything is there. That is about safety and wellness. And when they come to office, again, we are helping them to ensure that there is a safe distance is maintained, for which we have enabled a complete mapping of the particular facility through the employee can actually access that map view from a simple few clicks from the mobile application what they have. They'll be able to look at what are the desktops, desks available, and then they can actually block the desk and thus ensuring that they are coming to office and they're also following the safety protocols. That's the second aspect. Then comes when they leave office, they also actually are registering the contact logs. If in case if they get God forbidden, if they get some COVID or something, they we will be able to trace the other parties. I talked about vaccine management. We also do a PPE kit management. We provide PPE kits and we maintain the inventories. So these are the a few small but very powerful things that we undertake to ensure that employee experience, the safety and wellness part of it. The second part of it, when they are hybrid, so when they are at office, when they are in the remote location, the job has to be done seamlessly. The customer, end of the day, we are all servicing to the customer. The customer should not feel anything different. So tools like collaborative tools or their self-service tools or increased digital automation have been achieved. Especially we as a company ourselves, we focus on workflow solutions. Now we help our employees to have their workflow automated so that they get answers for cross departmental questions answered. These are the ways and means we ensure that the work is also effectively delivered. The first part, I repeat, first part is about safety and wellness. The second is work is not disrupted, so we are actually be able to achieve the business agility.
Yeah, very well said, Manoj. And I think there is a lot of overlapping what you said with what the HR has to do. So I like to come to the Anjali and seek directly from the HR perspective that because now a lot of transition is happening towards remote work culture. So Anjali, according to you, what are some tips for the companies based on your experience to improve their remote work strategies? And how do you see managing and securing the remote team working culture, taking charge, and constructing holistic workforce strategies?
Yeah, thank you. So, I have a point similar to Manoj, because, HR also works very closely with business, right? And so we started with, 100% office, then during pandemic moved to 100% remote, and are moving to a hybrid model, right? And again, in the hybrid model, be careful because people are talking about the fourth wave in June. So as we move to hybrid model where we have about 50 to 70% people coming, we're still careful. So we work very closely with the safety team, and in the airline safety team is very important. And we 100% vaccinated. One of the first Tata Group companies vaccinated, except for those who are on maternity, etc. And the digital automation helps. So every employee, when he goes to office or goes to airport, he puts in a 5% Google form saying, how is he feeling? Does he have cold cough? Does his family have cold cough? Is he 100% vaccinated? So he picks up 5 questions, and if he has a small cough, his manager gets to know that this guy is coming and there's a tiny bit of cold. So, so every day, every employee fills up these 5 questions on the Google form, and we get the data around it. And every manager gets any information immediately if anybody's having a cold or somebody in the family has a cold or cough, right? So we are very, very closely watching this. And so as we move to hybrid culture, which is better than 100% remote, 100% office, right? So every employee, and I like your WhatsApp note on commute, coffee, and conversations, and sometimes it does get true. So with the hybrid model, I think what really happens is, you finish what you finish at home, but the employees need to come twice a week or thrice a week to work, or every alternate week to office, right? And I'm not talking about 90% of people in operations because they have their own roster, but the people who are in the corporate roles. So they decide they need to come collaborate on certain processes or point of view, or they stay at home and finish up whatever work they have to do. I think what's really important is, so at any given time, starting now, you're always going to have a hybrid model. All companies will have a hybrid model in some shape or form, right? So the employee experience should be the same, whether he or she is working from home or she's working in office. And hence, again, repeating what Manoj said, our digital tools have been totally enhanced, right? Whether digital communication, digital focus on wellness, so when I come to office, I'm coming to, really collaborate on certain processes. Everything else, is for me digitally available, and it's the same experience as is for employees. So I get the best of world, both worlds. So just communicating or engaging with people, we are doing both, right? For example, when people are in airports, we go to the airports and engage with employees and talk about various things. At the same time, virtually also. So again, if there's a roster, there are some people staying at home and some people sitting in office on the airports. So the whole focus on communicating with employees on anything, whether it's policy processes or health, wellness, everything is done in both the formats. And we just ensure the same experience for everybody and the same communication flows pretty well. We've got some amazing communication techniques and engagement. Like, for example, I'll mention that we're using Workplace by Facebook. So today, everybody accesses the policies every day, whether you're sitting in office, sitting. So this, focus on technology, focus on seamless communication we spent about 1.5 years doing this, and now today we are at a good space. And whether it is HR process, whether chat box. So really, you're doing work which you cannot do at home. So that's how we're working on it.
Yeah, very right. And also, I believe when we talk about hybrid, it has to be from both the perspectives, the organization and the employee. So what I mean is, from employee's perspective, this is hybrid when sometimes I'm doing work from home, sometimes I'm doing work from office. But from organization's perspective, now there will be different type of employees. Maybe some employees will be happy work from office, some will be happy work from home, and some will be happy hybrid. So from organization's perspective, if we can give that flexibility, so that is also a hybrid organization instead of just hybrid employee work culture. So that I think also will be a point for the larger organizations that to take care and that what kind of employees they have in different cliques, different strata. Okay, now I'd like to come to you, Manoj Sarangi. Lot of things are happening in information security, cyber security. Hell, lot of things are happening. Rise of automatic hacking, potential of artificial intelligence, mobile is the new target, cloud is also now potential vulnerable, deadly combination of IoT with 5G networks, targeted ransomware, state-sponsored cyber warfare, insider threats, remote working cyber security issues, and outdated insufficient systems, outdated hardware, especially maybe at home. So many things are happening. So now, Manoj, what do you suggest? What organizations need to know on security strategies and readiness? And what are the steps your organization has taken, and especially what you like to advise to others to keep the remote workplaces secure? There can be so many things. I mean, my small knowledge, maybe VPN, cloud technology, zero trust network. But what is the ideal way out, if you can suggest us?
So there is no single solution that fits all. It has to be appropriate to the organization. Before that, I just wanted to comment to one of the things that Manoj and you spoke about, security as a perception. Okay. Security is much more than a perception. Unless it connects with reality, it doesn't hold good. Suppose in front of your house, you write beware of the dog. Okay. And it will work for some time, till people come to know that you don't have a dog inside. Okay, so the perception holds good only for limited amount of time. After that, it doesn't hold good. So you need to have a dog to support that perception that you will that, okay, my house is good. The same stands for security. So you have to build a perception, that's no doubt about it, so that you feel protected, and also there is people get challenged to infiltrate. But at the same time, you should also back it up with solid security to secure your infrastructure. Few things on the new technology. See, irrespective of the technologies, AI and IoT and things like that, there are some basics that I spoke about which stays there. But when you add on those, recipe of technological changes like AI, artificial intelligence, okay. Suppose AI misbehaves, what do? So you have to have those mitigation measures. Do you have validated AI? AI and the kind of algorithm should be transparent and open. Suppose AI takes a decision which is wrong, who is accountable for that? Okay. And using machine learning. So machine learning happens basically by using inferences, like you do 1 + 2, 2 + 3, 3 + 4, or something like that, combination of that. Then the system learns and does something which has never been done. Okay, there should be some kind of checks and balances that need to be there for such technology to work well. Okay, and now the regulators are also thinking of how to kind of regulate the use of AI and ML in critical industries. So that is going to evolve and be, it is not yet mature, but it will take some time to mature. Some of the basics do not change when you have such things like what Anjali spoke about working through VPNs. So that builds an end-to-end tunnel. So data is safe while traveling, and no one can tap into data. And it is more important for her kind of industry because a lot of people are on the field and they have to connect to their central network. And it's vital that they have to also use open Wi-Fi in airports and all. You have open Wi-Fi, and there's no other way than using a VPN tunnel to connect to the workplace. Don't have a secure drive. Then use authentication, and what kind of authentication? It has to be multi-factor authentication. So authentication must ensure the person connecting to your network is the same person who it claims to be. And if you look at the complexity that we have today, like we have multiple passwords and multiple credentials across different applications and services. So use something which is either passwordless or use password managers to have the complexity and also make it easy for the users. You spoke about user experience also. That's another point that I was kind of thinking about. Then train employees. That is very, very vital. And in this era, things change rapidly, and I can say that every day things change. So train employees so that they are ready. If there is some threat comes, they can identify. They can be fast level of defense. And when you have a human dependency, you bound to have some issues or other company. So use more of automation like software updates or antivirus software. This should be done as completely automated without any human intervention, and should not need someone to go and click on something to get it activated.
Right.
Then when you do collaboration, remote, then you have something which we are currently using, the video conference or video conference like Zoom or any other platform. So that need to be secure. Like when you are having meeting, you also transfer a lot of confidential data. You share a lot of confidential. That needs to be secure. And some of the things like email phishing is a process. People are looking at spear phishing, then you have SIM swap. There are a lot of different kinds of frauds that are coming. Keeping your eyes and ears open, and making sure that your workforce is completely kind of tuned to address any of such attacks if they come their way. And some of the basic hygiene, not leaving your bag or unattended, especially in airline but industry. That's very important. And keep your work and your personal and your official work separate. That's also very vital. And if you look at the internet access of employees, there's a survey that was done. Statistically, it has been found that 34% of the internet traffic from workplace is for personal use. So if that can be separated, that's also something that comes as a good practice to secure your workplace.
A lot of good points, and I'll suggest, maybe request, you can come up with some handbook that will be useful for everybody. And now you talked about a lot of things which have to be done, and that calls for a lot of transformation, transition. So I'd like to go to Mr. Manoj Kumar now from ServiceNow on this, that now a lot of transition is required, and it is happening. It is happening globally across the organizations. How do you think that technology can enable this transition? And what do you see as emerging aspect of employee experience during this transition?
Right, right. Yeah, of course. Thanks a lot, Manoj, Sarangi, for bringing out a lot of details around the security in the context of remote workspace as well as hybrid workplace. And also, he touched upon how the employees, playing a very critical role in ensuring this transition is taken into an advantage. So continuing on that, we feel we at ServiceNow we feel it's about two important aspects. One is technology, and second is the behavioral aspects. Technology, there's a lot of intervention coming in, intelligence automation happening, process orchestration, and cybersecurity. How are we mitigating that cybersecurity threats and attacks? A lot of developments are happening. Let me just focus on behavioral for this conversation's sake. So from the behavioral aspect, the moment I'm again going back to the same point. The moment you empower your employees and enable your employees to follow the right things, they will do the right side of things. So for which I attribute to two important things. One is a self-service management, and then second is the workflow automation. So what happens when you give a self-service in terms of when there is a change, and when there are a lot of things required for an employee to access or to get the questions answered, simple questions answered. So when you give the complete self-service management across areas, that is going to actually help in one aspect. Second is the workflow automation. So there are a lot of processes, connected processes. There is always a spillage of information. There is a possibility of a breach. So that is when it is very important that you automate that workflows intelligently, so that the security is taken care in each and every process level. So don't create a process for the tools. You create the processes for your employees and the security and for your customers. Coming back on the workplace side of it, we talked about workforce. For the workplace, we should give employees an option of an interactive reservation, a booking. Again, I talked about the same points. Such automation, such tools will help employees to feel safe in this transition world, to come to office. They feel encouraged to come to office and deliver wherever they are. And also we should adequately enable them with the tools and ammunitions to operate from wherever they are, whether they are in office or remote locations. Then comes simple things like visualization of the location maps, which will actually also help your space utilization, which will also help your operating team to operate at an optimal level. These are the various technology influence can happen during this transition time.
Right. Yeah, very well said. And I think I'm pretty sure that our audience is getting a lot of useful inputs, because as we say, successful organizations are built on PPT model, people, process, and technology. And in this panel, we have specialists and champions of all three. Manoj, Sarangi from technology, then Manoj from process, and Anjali we have from people. So I think this is a perfect panel. So now coming back to the people part, Anjali. So now as organizations brace themselves for the onset of yet another reality, a new reality, HR leaders are focusing their now attention on recovery, laying concrete grounds for the organizations to thrive, not only survive. Initially, we were just talking about surviving. Now we are talking thriving. And as you rightly said, never let a good crisis go waste. So I'm going to use it very soon somewhere in some of the program. So now as a HR leader, what according to you are the successful ways to change, adapt, and adopt to the hybrid work situation?
Thanks. I have basically 3 points. First is, since we're moving to hybrid, where some people are at home, some people are at airport, some in the office. So everything becomes hybrid. So whether it's how you communicate with employees, how you engage with them, how you communicate policies, processes, it has to be both. It cannot be either physically or virtually, it can be both. So what we do is, everything has become hybrid now, right? So when I'm releasing a policy or communication, or just engaging or just communicating with them, right? We do both. We have a virtual Zoom and we have people in front of us. So every employee can use their own preferred means of communication engagement. So no one's getting forced, oh, you have to come on virtual or you have to be in office to hear this out. So they have a choice, and the choice is with them. So that's really important. The important part is to cover everybody. Obviously, we track, who's come virtual, who's come, face to face, just so that we know that the communication has reached the person. So that's that. So obviously, you're doing everything twice, but it's really worth it because with work becoming hybrid, everything around it really becomes hybrid. Yeah. So the last 2 years we're doing only virtual. And before that, we're doing only face to face, and now it is virtual and face to face. So that's the first part. The second, the most important thing in the hybrid model is really managing performance and productivity, right? So again, pre-COVID, everything was, I would call a FaceTime culture, right? And when we went to during COVID pandemic, it was a virtual culture. And now again, with this mixed hybrid model, managing performance productivity evenly across people who are using hybrid ways of work becomes important. And here, I think what really becomes important is manager and leader development, right? Where they have to change the way they manage the employees, the way they manage productivity, the way they manage performance. So we are also focused a lot on managerial development in this new scenario, right? So how do you, really use, we all learned management objectives in our college days, many, millions of years back. So that becomes very important because today a manager or a leader, should focus on performance and not based on whether somebody's coming to work in office or in the airport or at home, right? So hence management objective and managing becomes important. And this is one thing which one side doesn't fit all. So today I'm a manager, the day I communicate with a person who's working from home continuously versus someone who's coming to office face to face becomes very important. And hence we started doing loads of work on management techniques and how do you really manage productivity and company objectives in this hybrid model. So that's the second important thing. The third very important thing is, how do you regularly do a pulse check with employees? How you do coffee meets, all hands call, virtual call, manager meets. Because sometimes what happens again in the hybrid model, you tend to miss out, right? So again, as a leader, as HR leader, I go to airports, I go on early before taking a flight, meet up with employees. We do a lot of meetings virtually, and everybody's invited to join or join for a coffee meet, either physically or virtually. So I think during these times of change, connecting employees on individual, small group or large will become very important. This is what they appreciate. So while March 2020 is a period of change, this again another period of change in hybrid model because you're doing everything twice. So it's not only work from office or work from home, it's mixed. So it has a very different level of connotation, different level of managing, different ways of managing. One might think I'm doing everything 2 times, but no, you're actually doing it once, but maybe the times of communicating much more. So this is where managerial development, leadership development really comes into play. It becomes very important because it's really another type of change management. So I think, once we have managers onboarded and well-versed and adapting to another change, I think, 90% of the work is really there. So this is where the change is happening, in my view.
Right. And very nicely said that now we need to focus on result-oriented approach, instead of from where they are doing, what time they are doing. Yes. The results should be the focus, the performance should be the focus. Very interesting. Manoj, Sarangi. So now, as we know, we are entering completely new era of interconnectivity with IoT and 5G networks. We have already discussed this in some length. They say by 2027, Business Insider predicts that more than 41 billion IoT devices be online and connected. So now security first is the practice that organizations want. So from what you have already said, is there anything else you'd like to add on how industry can prepare itself for cyber attacks that would come from this combination?
Okay, I think interesting question. Okay, so I always speak about security by design. If you are doing something, it has to be part of the core design rather than a plugin. Just imagine, if you don't have a old ambassador car which didn't have a seat belt. Okay, which one do you feel more safe? A modern car which has a seatbelt built from by design, or a retrofitted old car with a seatbelt? Okay, so obviously the modern car. So that's the importance of having security by design. And when you talk about the threads and the billions of devices that will be connected to IoT and other channels, right now, after we have central system, then you have distributed system, then you have cloud computing. Now people are talking about the edge computing. Edge computing is moving the compute to the very edge where the data gets generated. So it's very natural for us to think about security, moving the security to the same place where the data is getting generated. So edge computing, when we move to edge computing, and adopt more of a edge computing. So basically, the security need to shift to the place where the data gets generated. Just imagine something. I'll give a very good example: a wind turbine. Okay, generating a lot of data about whatever the power that it's generated, the wind speed, and a lot of data. So data gets processed, and the processed data is only fed to center. So if the data only 10% of data that gets generated get pushed. So that reduces the load of the network and also make the central system consume more meaningful data. And the security has to move to the edge. And when you have IoT and other devices finding more adoption in the environment ecosystem, the security has to move more towards the edge rather than being a center feature. That's what we have been seeing. That's a trend that has been happening, and this will continue to grow. Second and more important thing is, technology is never static, and such technologies, connected technology, is going to have different threat scenarios that what we have earlier seen or seen till now, because the connected devices, there is no central point of attack. So when when an attacker focuses, the focus is on the crown jewel, like the syntax be protected. If it can be done from any of the end that has been connected, so that will be a disaster. So these are the aspects that need to be covered and protected, so that the whole ecosystem gets protection. And it is always a kind of a rat race between the people who want to damage and hack and people who want to protect. So it will be interesting to wait and see and get it see it evolve over period of time.
Thanks, Manoj, and thanks everybody. Okay, then, as we are already, I think, running a little bit late. So I'm sure in the audience, apart from IT, we have a lot of people from different areas, also the HR. So I think the technical stuff has to be taken care by the technical people, and they will do it. And there are three important things we need to do. One is come out of the not syndrome. So this is like, this cannot happen to me. Cyber threat or cyber threat incidents. So this can happen to anybody. It's a psychological phenomena where I think, no, this cannot happen to me. So we need to come out of not me syndrome and have not only defensive, also the offensive security strategies. And it's not about money. When we talk about offensive strategies, it's not about money. It's more about the reputation. In India, we have seen a lot of incidents happen, and a lot of big companies, their consumer data was also stolen and was available on dark web in some small amount. So that should not happen. So we also need to know that it is not only about money, it's about the reputation. And once we start taking from that perspective, then only we'll understand that it's not only about the expense we are doing, it is an investment what we are doing. So these three perspectives, if we can keep in our mind, that will surely help us. I think that's all from this session, and I will request Ivan to take over and take the program ahead.
Thank
you,
you,
everybody. Once again, take good care of yourself.
Thank you.
Well, that concludes the Leaders Dialogue Strategies to Secure Remote Workspaces. I'm sure we could have gone on for another half an hour, 45 minutes, because it's such a wide subject and with such an esteemed panel. There were more experiences probably that could have been shared, but due to time constraints, we have to close this panel. A big thank you to Manoj, Sarangi, Anjali, Chatterjee, and Manoj Kumar for taking time off from their busy schedules and joining us at the Leaders Dialogue at this summit. We wish you and your respective organizations the very best going forward. And Dr. Vikas Vats, thank you for doing a fantastic job of moderating this.
Thank you very much.
You stay tuned in, ladies and gentlemen. We will be back on the other side in a minute or so from now with the final session, which talks about wellness and mental well-being. I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure you're too.